Welcome. Today's study is going to be focused on Fernando Sor's Etude, Opus 35, number 22 in B minor. The meter of this piece is 3/4 time, and the formal structure has 32 bars. The A section is 16 bars, and the second section of the piece has two parts: a B section, a contrasting section of 16 bars, and a reprise of sorts of the A section. So overall we could describe it as ternary, ABA. The melody of this piece is the centerpiece. It is the storyteller. The accompaniment is arpeggiated, so we could describe this piece as essentially homophonic and rather static in the first section. We hear a pedal tone on the fourth string, the F sharp, throughout the first section, or most of the first section, except for one notable spot which we will focus on. The melody is restricted in the first 8 bars to just the range of 3 notes, a major third. The second part of the A section extends that to 5 notes. When you have a melody that is limited in terms of its range, that there's even more challenge to you as the performer. So we're going to take a look at the harmony of the first 8 bars to start with of the A section. It begins with a B minor chord. The second measure is also B minor. Then the dominant chord, F sharp, and then back to B minor. Worth noting that on most of the B minor chords in the beginning part of this A section, we have an F sharp in the bass. We have a pedal tone that sounds like that. Okay, so one more time on those first 4 bars. Dominant, resolution. Then it goes to the dominant chord, back to B minor, to the 4 chord in first inversion, turns it into a diminished chord, and that resolves to F sharp major. That's our question, antecedent. And now back to the beginning. And instead of going this time to the B minor chord, he goes to the G chord, and then the C sharp diminished, to B minor, to the dominant, to the tonic. The harmonic gravity of this piece is what helps create a sense of nuance for the melody. So if we do this one more time and you listen to how the melody is going to be moving just in the first 8 bars, just 3 notes. That's the first 4 bars. Second phrase. So it's always helpful to play the melody by itself, and oftentimes when pieces are arpeggiated, it's helpful to play the chords as a block chord so that you could hear the harmonic tension more clearly. Now I'm going to go back and play the beginning part of the piece, and you'll notice that maybe more clearly how the harmony is factoring in. In interpreting this piece, one of the questions you should probably consider is Is this piece a classical piece? A piece of the classical period, like Mozart and Haydn? Or is it a piece that's looking with one foot into the Romantic period and be more like Beethoven, Schubert, Schumann, Mendelssohn, Chopin? This is important. I think it's in between these two personally, and that is the reason why you hear a little bit of rubato being used in this prelude or this etude. I'm treating it more like a prelude and allowing for some elements of the music to stretch according to the harmonic tension. If you play it strictly, or more strictly than what I was demonstrating just a moment ago, you still want to see if you can be able to manage to emphasize the harmonic tension and make sure that your melody is singing. Because one element in terms of Sor's compositional style is that he loved melody. He loved opera. He even wrote a few operas. And he loved the music of Mozart. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at the B section. The B section begins with F sharp, D, and F sharp. With just two notes, we're really not sure whether this is B minor or whether this is D major. There's B minor, and there's our dominant chord. And then again, it ends on the dominant chord, the F sharp major chord. So all the way through this part of the piece, it seems to be wandering, still with the dominant pedal, and reflective, maybe even a bit melancholy. And then we hear the bass notes enter with the B seventh chord, and it goes to E minor, A seventh to D major, and then a Neapolitan sixth chord, which is usually for something that's tragic. It kind of sounds tragic. E sharp diminished, and F sharp major. So consider this. When Sor wrote this piece, he purposely made the beginning of the piece sound very, very sparse and meditative or reflective or melancholy. You be the descriptor of the mood of the piece. But when we move to this section, the second half of the B section, that sudden change of harmony, the circle of fifths, B, E, A, D, and the E sharp diminished to the F sharp major chord. And then he just fades that out, and you're back to the beginning. My personal opinion, it should be softer than the beginning of the piece. The beginning of the piece began telling you the story. But this part, after the big I feel that could be a little bit softer. There's no dynamic marking there telling us. So again, I'm sharing with you my interpretation and encourage you to make your own choices. The next part, after we've done this, the first time it ended with an F sharp major chord. This time he's going to go a little bit different. This time he gives you the B minor, and he goes to the F sharp major chord, but he uses it as a transition. And now he gives you D minor in first inversion, second inversion, C sharp seventh, F sharp 7th, and to G. And that G chord, if you remember, came in on the second phrase of the A section. It ended that part. This time, this is the culmination, is the highest point. He doesn't give us a feeling that we've arrived at B minor, but at G major. So what's the meaning of this section in terms of the emotional content? Let's just go back and I'll share with you my thoughts, but I want you to kind of think about that yourself. So we had our... So the climatic moment of the piece is the G chord, in my opinion. And the chords that went up, again, follow the circle of fifths. We started with B minor chord, but starting with C sharp, F sharp, and we would have expected F sharp to go to B minor, but he goes to G instead. And then he to C sharp diminished, to B minor in second inversion, to F sharp, and you can hear that's cadential, and then the melody goes from the F sharp the melody of the piece most often rhythmically is moving from half note to quarter to half note. And there's a kind of a sense of pushing on beat 3. So it's not 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, but 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3. So I almost think of this a little bit in terms of movement like skating. You know, you have 1, 2, 3, 1, and they're really pushing on 3, but you're coasting on 1. Okay, if that helps. And of course there are exceptions, such as the big dramatic Neapolitan 6th chord. Yes. Well, I hope this was helpful to you, giving you a little bit of insight of how I approach a piece of music. One, first looking at the melody, looking at the structure of the piece, and also considering playing just the melody and get an idea of what notes I think need to be emphasized. But in doing so, considering the harmony. And as you play through a piece arpeggiated, sometimes it's hard to be able to really hear the harmonic tension clearly, and it helps to play the chords as block chords. You can try this with this piece and with other pieces. I encourage you to do that. Feel free to email me if you have questions or comments, or at the end of the video on YouTube, you may want to add some thoughts that you have in regards to the piece, what it means to you, and extend the conversation. That is it for today. Happy practicing.